I went ahead and bought this so-called haunted painting just to see if anything weird would happen. You actually did it, huh? I could practically feel the heat of Sarah's glare burning into my back as I wrestled the package through the front door and into the hallway. My dog Buddy was still barking from the echo of the doorbell. "Calm down, pal," I muttered, giving him a reassuring pat as I strained to haul the large box into the foyer on my own. "Yep, I bought it," I said. "You mean that creepy one you showed me? That same one?" "The very same," I replied, a bit proud of myself. "Why on earth would you do that?" After pushing the package against the wall where I planned to hang the painting, I turned to face her. "Sarah, come on now, I told you about this. It is supposed to be haunted." She crossed her arms and gave me a look, and I mirrored it by raising an eyebrow. "I hate it when you call me that," she shot back. "I would even prefer if you called me by my full name, Sarah." All right. Take it easy, Sarah," Buddy barked again. "Hey, settle down. You do not even care that I hate it, do you? Does it mean nothing to you? Look, I get that it freaks you out, but that is the point. It is meant to be unsettling. That is what makes it so fascinating. It is supposed to be a haunted painting." I struggled to pull the painting out of the box, almost dropping it because of its awkward size. Surprisingly, she stepped in to help me. "Really? I thought you hated this thing." "Ugh, let us just get it hung up and be done with this," Sarah sighed. We unwrapped the painting, peeling away the protective paper that covered it inside the box. Once we held it up against the wall, I could not help but smile. "Pretty sure it is going to fit perfectly, don't you think?" "I still hate it," she said flatly. The painting was something else, though. It showed these twisted, desperate figures, all crawling away from some unseen terror. Right in the middle, there was a child with tears running down his face. The whole thing had a weird reddish hue, like there was some kind of thin red wash over everything. It was eerie, sure, but also kind of mesmerizing. "Come on, it is not that bad. The whole haunted thing is probably just a gimmick to sell it." "Do you actually believe it is haunted?" she asked, eyeing me suspiciously. "I have no idea, but I kind of hope it is," I replied with a grin. "You are ridiculous and weird, but I guess that is part of why I like you." She gave me a quick kiss, and with her help, we got the odd-looking painting up on the wall. To be honest, it looked even better than I thought it would. I threw my arm around her shoulders and Sarah leaned into me, like she might be starting to forgive me for bringing this thing into the house. "How about we take a break from admiring our haunted masterpiece and go grab some lunch?" I suggested. Just as we started walking toward the kitchen, a loud thud made us both jump. Something had slammed into the side of the house. I rushed outside and found a bird lying on the ground. It had flown straight into the brick and snapped its neck. Sarah came out behind me, giving me a sharp look. "See? Weird stuff is already happening," I said, half joking. "I already hate this," she muttered. I tried to keep a straight face, but deep down, I had a feeling I might have gotten myself into more than I was ready for. That night, as we were getting ready for bed, I realized something was off. Our trusty dog was nowhere to be found. "Buddy," I called out. Just as I was about to step into the bedroom, I heard his nails clicking on the hardwood floor behind me, but he stayed put. I flicked the hallway light back on, and there he was, pacing nervously back and forth. He kept his eyes locked on me, but did not come any closer. It was like he wanted to move forward, but something was holding him back. "What is it, boy? What's the matter?" I walked over to him and crouched down, giving him a gentle rub on his chest. His eyes darted between me and the hallway, like he was trying to tell me something. "Hey, what is bothering you, huh?" That is when I noticed where his gaze was fixed, and a shiver ran up my spine. He was staring straight at the painting. "Yeah, I know, those faces are pretty creepy, huh?" I said it more to reassure myself than him, but I would never admit that. Sarah poked her head out into the hallway, watching us with a curious look. "All right, come on, buddy. You cannot stay out here by yourself," I said, giving him a little nudge toward the bedroom. But he would not budge. "Come on, work with me here," I said, more insistent this time. I grabbed hold of his collar to pull him along, but he planted his feet and refused to move. Then with a sharp jerk of his head, he slipped right out of the collar. His eyes never left the painting. "You have got to be kidding me. It is the painting, isn't it?" I muttered. "Oh, give me a break. Sarah chimed in. Dogs are really good at reading human emotions. He probably just sees those distorted faces, and it freaks him out a little. Yeah, maybe, I said reluctantly. But I have never seen him act like this. Ever. I hated to admit it, but she had a point. After a few more tries, I finally gave up. It was clear. Buddy had made his decision. Poor guy was absolutely terrified of that thing. As I walked past the painting on my way back to the bedroom, I could have sworn I felt a cold draft, though it could have just been in my head. I really do not like that thing, Sarah said, watching me. Yeah, I heard you the first time, I replied, trying to brush it off. It has been a strange day, but do not worry. Buddy will get used to it. Before heading into the bedroom, I glanced back at him one last time. Last chance, bud, I called. He just laid down, resting his head between his paws with a little huff, like he was done with the whole situation. All right, fine. I will leave the door open in case you change your mind. We finally got into bed without any more trouble, and it hit me how tired I was. Usually I stay up late, but that night I passed out almost instantly. A noise snapped me out of my sleep, and in my groggy state, I could have sworn I heard a bark. Buddy? I mumbled. The sound of paws clicking on the hardwood echoed through the dark, and I flinched a little when I felt a cold, wet nose nudge my hand. No matter how many times he did it, it always startled me. This was his way of letting me know he needed to go outside. All right, give me a second. I fumbled for my sandals with my feet and slipped them on without much thought. It was one of those half-asleep routines I had done a million times before. Our neighborhood was quiet, so the only sounds were my sandals slapping the floor and Buddy's panting. As I passed the thermostat in the foyer, I rubbed my arms, realizing how cold it had gotten. Geez, it is freezing in here, and it is the middle of July, I muttered to myself. Of course, the thought of that haunted painting popped into my head, and for some reason, instead of being scared, I felt oddly excited. What the hell was wrong with me? Maybe I was asking for trouble. After closing the thermostat cover, I was about to turn toward the front door when I heard a low growl. Buddy? I flipped on the foyer light and saw him standing at the front door, his back arched, fur standing on end. Hey, it is just me. Come on, let us... I started but stopped mid-sentence. Something was not right. Buddy was standing in front of me by the door, but I could still feel something warm and furry brushing against my leg. He had never left my side. How could he be both next to me and across the room? Buddy bared his teeth and growled, more intense than I had ever seen him. He was staring directly at me, or rather, at whatever was beside me. What the hell was next to me? I did not want to look, but I knew I had to. My whole body tensed up as I slowly turned to see a pitch-black, dog-like figure with deep, glowing red eyes staring back at me. What the... I panicked and leapt toward Buddy, my only thought being to get him outside as fast as possible. When I turned back to close the door, the thing was gone. My heart was pounding so hard I had to lean against the wall to steady myself. Buddy, sensing my distress, licked my hand and let out a small whimper. I know, boy. I know. Let's go outside. We came back in after a few minutes, and the house felt different. The unnatural cold had faded, and the eerie feeling was gone. That painting had to be the real deal. But now what? Could I really get rid of it when it was probably the most interesting thing I had ever owned? Only time would tell. The next day went by without any problems. Sarah had slept through the whole ordeal with Buddy at the door, and I figured it was best not to tell her. No need to make her worry any more than she already was. Later that night, while we were eating dinner, I got up to grab us some snacks for the movie we had picked out, only to realize we were all out. It is not movie night without snacks, she insisted. Yeah, you are right. I will run and get some real quick. You want to come with me? Nah, I am feeling weirdly tired tonight, but please do not take too long, she said, her eyes darting toward the hallway. That made me feel guilty. Maybe this painting was not worth it if it was making her feel this way. But at the same time, I had dropped $150 on it, and I kinda loved it. I swear, sometimes I do not deserve her. I grabbed a small pack of popcorn from the local corner store and hurried back in about 10 minutes, maybe a little more. But as I slid the key into the door and opened it, I was hit with a wave of dread. Something was off. "Sarah?" I called out, stepping into the foyer. No answer. I stood there between the hallway leading to our bedroom and the kitchen, noticing that the bathroom door at the end of the hall was shut with the light on. She must be in there and just didn't hear me come in. That is why it startled me so much when Sarah suddenly appeared from the den, freezing in place when she saw me. "You just got back? Like right now?" "Yeah, and clearly you are not in the bathroom. You must have left the light on." Tears welled up in her eyes and she stepped toward me cautiously. Please tell me you are joking." "I am not." "What is going on?" "I never went into the bathroom." "You did." "What? Come on, are you just trying to freak me out because you do not like—" "Listen to me. You came in a few minutes ago and said you needed to use the bathroom." "Babe, that is impossible. My eyes stayed glued to the bathroom door as I spoke. Then I saw it. A shadow moved beneath the door, right by the crack near the floor. "Grab Buddy, get to the car, and call—" Before I could finish, the bathroom door flew open with a bang, slamming into the wall so hard it left a dent. We both expected something horrible to appear, but there was nothing. Nothing at all. We looked at each other, fear in our eyes, then back at the bathroom. The house fell into an eerie silence. The bathroom light flicked off on its own, and suddenly footsteps, loud and heavy, pounded toward us, shaking the floor as they got closer. A blood-curdling scream rang out from nowhere, sending Buddy into a frenzy. Just when I thought whatever it was would crash into us, the footsteps stopped, dead in their tracks. There was a moment of silence, so thick you could hear a pin drop. Then Sarah broke down, sobbing uncontrollably. She was not ready for this. Hell, neither was I. Without thinking, I ran over to the painting, determined to get it off the wall and out of the house. But as soon as I tried to grab it, a searing pain shot through my hands. I yelped in agony and rushed to the sink, turning on the cold water and shoving my hands under the stream. Sarah ran over, eyes wide with panic. "What happened?" she cried, noticing the blisters that had formed on my palms as if I had touched a burning skillet. "What the hell is happening here?" she sobbed, her voice trembling. "You already know. This thing, it is not just haunted, it is cursed. It has to be. It will not let you get rid of it. It is protecting itself or something. Because I am the one who bought it." We stood there for a moment, taking it all in, trying to process what was going on. Finally, I decided to message the seller, hoping they would offer some kind of refund. They replied almost immediately, "Number, I am not taking that thing back." "So you knew it was really haunted?" "I told you straight up it was haunted. It is your problem now." "How do I make it stop?" "You have to sell it to someone else." "I cannot do that. Not in good conscience." "Then you will have to live with it. When you buy this painting, you do not own it. It owns you." I had my 1 month of hell, and that was more than enough. I explained all this to Sarah. "So what are we supposed to do now?" I sighed. Suddenly, her eyes lit up like she had just solved the world's biggest puzzle. "So it owns you, right?" "Yeah, that is what I just said. But I don't own it." We both realized what she was getting at, and she grinned, a fierce determination coming over her. She stormed over to the painting, yanked it off the wall, and proceeded to stomp on it until it was nothing but shattered wood and torn canvas. We bagged the remains up and tossed them in the trash can outside. Trash pickup is tomorrow. It will be gone before you know it. I hope so. I really, really hope so. The next morning, I rushed off to work, relieved when I heard the familiar beep of the garbage truck making its rounds. By lunchtime, though, I began to feel uneasy. I had not heard from Sarah, which was strange. My mind raced, remembering everything that had happened. I left work early and hurried home, only to find her car still in the driveway. I called her phone, no answer. I explained to my boss that I had an emergency, and they understood. The police, though, were harder to convince. They said it had not been long enough for them to act. By that night, I had called everyone Sarah knew, but no one had seen or heard from her. She was just gone. That night, I could not sleep. I stayed up, crying and praying that somehow she was okay. But deep down, I knew something terrible had happened. The next day, my worst fears were confirmed. The police showed up at my door to deliver the news in person, The city's waste management team found Sarah's body crushed to death in the garbage truck's compactor. They had no idea how or when she got in there, just the mangled remains of the woman I loved. I could not comprehend it. My mind refused to accept the reality. I stared blankly at the officers, thanked them, though I did not know why, and shuffled back inside. I collapsed on the couch with Buddy by my side, trying his best to comfort me. At some point I drifted off, only to be awakened by something I could not explain, a strange pull. Time seemed to slip away, and I found myself standing in the hallway, staring at the spot where the painting used to be. It was back, perfectly intact, just like before. But this time, there was one horrifying difference. I knew what had happened, but in a sick way, it brought me some small amount of peace. Everything was going to be okay, I told myself. I could still see Sarah anytime I wanted. All I had to do was look at the painting, and if I listened closely, I could hear her muffled screams, trapped inside the cursed canvas forever. Somehow that comforted me. Despite everything, it made me feel just a little bit better.